So I'm Chris Fox. I'm going to be taking you on a little trip that I call Your Voice on Your Voyage. I am a multi-arts practitioner and creative producer, so I am a composer, a writer, a performer, and an event producer, and I have loved bringing accessible events to Bristol for both spoken word poetry and music, and a little bit of page poetry as well. That's involved workshops, one-to-one coaching, and recording sessions on top of live events. My past history has included work with choirs. So as I was a child, I was very fortunate enough in some ways to be involved with some of the leading choirs in the world, including King's College, Cambridge, which took me to incredible spaces all over the world, and also in this country as well, performing at the BBC Proms, at the Royal Albert Hall, and Princess Margaret's funeral at Westminster Abbey, which was an amazing experience, although I don't know if she'd say that. But no, it was amazing. It really was truly fantastic. And I was able to take those experiences of choir, of blending, of collaborating, of being in some quite stressful situations, I'm not going to lie. It's amazing what Baroque music will do to an 8-year-old brain. And I fed those into my current practice as a multi-instrumentalist, as a beatboxer, as a singer, performing on stages including Green Man Festival in Wales, Shambhala Festival, which is very dear to my heart, as it is dear to many Bristolians' hearts, and also to Tolpuddle Martyrs Festival, which is an incredible celebration of the important history and current work that trade unions do in this country. I think it's, shout out to the Tolpuddle Martyrs. Don't know if you know about them, but this talk isn't about that, just Google them. Honestly, they're fantastic. But all of these experiences have given me points of connection within myself, with other people, other individuals, and with wider communities. And those experiences have let me bring live events, workshops to Bristol and further afield, helping other people find their inner lights, their creativities. Writing often quite personal accounts, often quite intimate, sometimes incredibly emotionally charged, both positively and negatively. And by doing that, people have been able to grow their own confidence on stage, on the mic, on the pen, on the page, and also built up stronger bodies of work, which can be for publication. Sometimes they've never done that before, and that's quite exciting to do. Other times, helping them figure out their editing voice, how they can look at what they've already written, and then approach it from a new angle and maybe improve upon it, and find new confidence in doing so, in questioning what they've already done, what they've already written. And then often taking those experiences to BBC Bristol. We have, my events have a connection with local radio. It's been really amazing. Shout out to Adam Crowther and his team, they're amazing. And from doing all of those different things, we've been able to also help other people platform themselves, both on my stage and at festivals, with applications, with being able to go, oh, I've been at the BBC, and now I'm going to go to this festival and do some poetry for the first time. Oh, I've been on the BBC, and now I'm going to apply for this award or that award or this funding stream, and both giving the confidence and then the content on the CV to do so successfully. So it's been an incredibly rewarding part of my job and part of my life. But before we can do any of that, before we can bring different people together from different corners of Bristol and again further afield, before we can curate and nurture a lasting sense of community, before we can let other people explore themselves in an emotionally vulnerable way, we have to be sure in ourselves with those inner lights that we help other people find. We have to know our inner light first. We have to find our strength, our sense of community within ourselves and externally as well. So yes, although it's going to be lots of seafaring imagery and stuff today, if the plane that you're on is in turbulence, you've got to put your oxygen mask on before you can put others on them. I think I remember sitting in an EasyJet flight and going, that's a really good metaphor, I should use that in a thing at some point, and this is the time I can use that metaphor, it's a damn good metaphor. So yeah, you have to find that solidity before you can help other people ground themselves. And I like to think of it, if you can imagine, stepping out onto a ship for the very first time. It can be a bit scary. The wood creaks beneath your feet. The wind lays its grace upon your face. The horizon yawns before you. And in that moment, you feel both small and powerful, both a drop in the ocean and able to strike with the might of high tides. Before I found myself, I was riddled with self-doubt, like I didn't belong with other people. I didn't belong with myself. I didn't deserve the things that I got. It was a very difficult time. And if there's one learning that I can take away from my path to self-discovery, it is that we are all our own cartographers. We are consistently and constantly and continue to map the coastlines of ourselves. Those coastlines ever change, but we map them nonetheless. It can be quite scary at times. And because it's an ongoing thing, the self is not a destination. It is a voyage. So, going back to me, I was, quite shy as a child, if you can imagine that, with my braces and my ridiculous trousers. And I know I should be doing golf, shouldn't I? I feel like that should be green. Like I should just be doing putting. But hey ho, we do what we can. But yeah, I felt like I didn't really belong anywhere, like it was meant for someone else and not for me, to quote a famous song from Shrek, of course. It was meant for someone else, not for me, like it was something that was out of reach, that I didn't fit in, and that I never would, that it was something that I would never find. And I think it's a really important lesson that I learned, that I'm totally wrong in that we all have the potential to find community, that we all have potential to find the confidence in belonging. And that through finding that confidence, through finding that self, we can then push off and continue discovering more. Continue to challenge and question and celebrate the different things that we are and the different things that we can bring to the world. So how do you start off? Hopefully you have already. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're in that moment where you go, I'm at TED today because I need Chris to tell me about how I can discover myself. But you brought yourself here, so that's a start. But for me, it was all about recognizing my self-worth. I looked in and I said, little baby Chris, what are you saying? What are you doing to the world? What are you bringing? And that thing that you bring, how will the world receive you? How will the world see you? How can you integrate into that wider community? So for you, that strength, it might be a skill, it might be a talent, it might be a belief, it might be a relationship, it might be something that you're really proud of that you did. Maybe you're a great friend, maybe you are a great writer, maybe you are a sports person, maybe you're a comedian, maybe you are the captain of the WhatsApp group message chain that gets everyone out on a Friday night. Maybe all of the above. If so, find me afterwards. It's Friday after all. And using my positive was music and song. Using that positive, I was able to then have the confidence to look outside of that positive, outside of music and song. What else did I bring? Oh, I love my friends. I'm a pretty good friend. I'm a writer. I love poetry. Cool. Those are some strengths. Those are some good things that we can start getting on with. So I raised my sails a little bit more, and we start navigating into those deeper, darker waters. You go beyond the shallows, the little coral bit in Finding Nemo, if you will, to the drop-off. And you go beyond into those lesser-known places, maybe places that we want to hide from ourselves, maybe our searchlights we dip each time we get close. We consider those difficulties, and we try to accept them. So for me, that was body image issues, believe it or not. I know, still getting there, I'm on my way. But I grew up with an amazing family of very supportive people and very sporty people. And when you're not the sporty one, my goodness me, it can be very difficult. I love cheering on my family members from either the sidelines or hearing about their achievements afterwards, going, wow, that was really amazing. But I always felt like I couldn't commit to sport. I couldn't lift those weights. I couldn't get out into the fields. Honestly, it was rugby, rowing, netball, cricket, whatever it is that you could name, they absolutely smashed. And then there was me. So I considered why that was. I ventured into those deeper, darker waters. Okay, you're quite a large lad. You can't do sport. Why can't you do those sports? Why do you struggle? Well, I struggled because I realized that I didn't like the idea of a sport that meant other people had to fail. I didn't think that me winning and someone else losing was something that I could really get behind, that I could commit to. I found that really alien. It even got to the point of like Monopoly. I would like lose on purpose. It was terrible. But, yeah, sorry, I literally just got taken back to 7-year-old Chris, failing at banking. But it was really through those times, through questioning those things that, and why I didn't want to do sport, that I realized these truths. So how do you go about it? How do you change that? Well, I looked at bouldering. I realized that bouldering was something that I could commit to, that it was this wall of problems that I could approach, and I could look at the riddle that it embodied and solve it in my unique way, my own way. That the only person I was competing with at that point was my past self. When I fell off the wall, when I wasn't brave enough, strong enough, me enough. And I accepted that. I accepted that about myself, and I stopped comparing myself to other people, and I looked at my own journey and where I could go, where I could take my bouldering, where I could take my sense of self. And the sense of self is not something that we do alone. No, it is something that we do through community. And community, in this case, shipmates. It's a pretty good analogy. It's family, it's friends. It could be people on the street that you maybe don't know yet. Like most of you here looking at this guy, and me looking at most of you. But these are people that you can surround yourself with only once you know yourself. Before then, we've all had those friends that we didn't really have anything in common with, friends that you fall away from. They weren't really your shipmates. They may be people at a time in your life that worked, but they didn't really know the true you because maybe you didn't know your true you. So once we have that, we have the tools to start finding those shipmates, those people that we will trust on the rigging, the people that we trust on the decks, the people we trust to plug up the holes in the hull when the water comes in. We need those people to buoy us up, to inspire us, to challenge us, to remind us of our own self-worth when that mid-sea fog descends, when we can't see the land, when the cloud covers the night sky and we can't chart the stars. And also we need people who are going to call us out on our BS when we get a bit too big for our boots. Also very important. But it's not just shipmates outside of us. We are our own vessel. We have to be. We aren't always around other people. We are always with ourselves. So it's also about acknowledging the shipmates within, the bosun of our chest, the navigator of our hopes, dreams, desires, and the captains of who we can be. With this, yes, the ocean of life throws itself at our ship. The water dashes our decks, can sometimes feel like we're going down. And a lot of the time, those waters, those winds that strike us, there's nothing that we can have a control over. But it's also very important to remember that while we navigate, a lot of those waters, we still have fathoms at our fingertips. We can steer. We can steer through the torrents. We can steer through the storms. And sometimes it's not even a storm. Sometimes it is that mid-sea fog. And when that happens, when we lose those stars, we have to trust something else. And that is our compass. What is our compass? Don't worry, I'll tell you. It's insight, it's instinct. It is the inner voice that we all have. And that's something that we hone like any other skill over time. The longer we see fair, the stronger we'll be with that instinct. We'll see those shores, we'll see the shallows, we'll see the shoals that we need to avoid, places we can go, places we need to maybe come back to in a little while when we're a bit stronger. And the final learning that I want to leave you with is that it's not about fear. It's not about being fearless. It's about being brave. It's about looking at the deep, dark waters and going for it anyway. It's about acknowledging those difficult moments, those difficult places of ourselves, difficult times that we inhabit. We go around that headland into the next unknown, and we chart more, and we chart more, and we chart more. My fellow cartographers, we have to know ourselves and know that we will never know ourselves fully. And that's okay. It's about taking those risks to hoist our sails and discover further. So, are we alone in this journey? I think we've established not. But we're not only shipmates for other people as well, but each of those people are their own vessels. This is a continuing journey that we all have, an ongoing odyssey, a everlasting, perpetual dance of the ebb and flow of life and its many, many waters. We are going to forever map this coastline. But I really urge you to take to your adventure, hoist your sails, and let the winds of change mold you into the masterpiece that you can be. Every sundown passes. Every sundown passes. And every sundown passes. Every sundown passes. And every sundown passes. Every sundown passes, and every sundown passes, and every sundown passes, and every sundown passes, and every sundown passes. And every sundown passes. your sails, my dears. I've been Chris Fox. You've been absolutely stunning. I am here for the rest of the days if you have. Yeah, want to have a good chat? I'm here. I think it's now going to be a break. Thank you very much to Bethel, everybody. Bethel, this wouldn't have happened without Bethel. This guy's amazing. Thank you very much to Mark as well on the sound. This would have sounded awful if he hadn't been here, so thank you very much for all of your tech. Thank you everybody who helped out today. I really appreciate it. Cheers.